In a world that is full of compromise, one of the easiest things to do is to subscribe to a life of compromise. Meanwhile, God calls us to a life of separation, a life of consecration unto Him. With that, I welcome you to Faith and Reason right here on Voice of One TV. Here we communicate light, wisdom, and truth in simplicity and in potency. My name is Samuel Ibo, and I will not be doing this alone. I have the honor and the privilege, as always, of having in the studio the elegantly dressed, the multi-gifted, the multi-talented ADEOGUN Johage. Welcome to the studio, A.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you. It's always a delight to be here. Fun fact, since you talk about elegance, fun fact about my jacket is over 15 years or so.
My God.
It's as old as time. And you know, the funny thing with when we were given this jacket, I and my sisters, because my auntie would send clothes down for us, and it was really big and ugly, the shoulder pad and everything. And when I put it on today, I was like, okay.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. With that, I want to say welcome to Faith and Reason, where we keep it real 100%. If you love great conversations, you are in the right place. And if you're here for the very first time, I say welcome, Sanu de Zoa. That's welcome in Hausa. And if you've been following us from the get-go, I want to say how far. You are the real G. So today, as promised, will be very, very interesting and worth your while. But do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Voice of One TV. Now, today's conversation is a little bit of gra, I guess. So, a bold and controversial statement was made by a pastor, and it shook the internet sometime last year, and somehow it has resurfaced on the internet, and it is causing stirs in faith circles and even public squares. Her claim is that women must and should always inspect a man's genitals before they get married. Very, very dicey, right? But we're here to have a good conversation on this matter. We'll be looking at the spiritual, medical, ethical, psychological implications of this statement. And with us to talk about this, you know him, you like him, you love him. My brother, my friend, my colleague is a very familiar face, as you know. Join me as I welcome Freeman Oti.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Yes, always a pleasure to have you. And joining us for the very first time, a medical doctor, one woman. I would call her a one-woman army. You would think that you will see her and you feel like, oh, this is a very, very simple person, but trust me, is a dynamite in a package. She's a resident doctor with FMC Makodi in internal medicine. Join me as I welcome Dr. Doyum Swemo Chia to Faith and Reason.
Thank you very much, Eki.
I'm so glad you're here. So, you know, I'm excited that you're here. First off, you are another lady because these guys used to do me dirty. Well, I'm glad that you're here. And then you're also my dark-skinned sister. Very beautiful. I hope you're doing very well. How are you? How's life treating you so far?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm well. And God has been faithful.
Right.
Work has been going on well, but a little stressful. Medicine. And then it's been, I've noticed recently a lot of hepatitis cases at work, and I'm concerned because it's happening a lot among young persons, younger age group, and then expected. And then see a lot of bad news. You know, in the hospital, you see a lot of bad news because people come to the hospital when they're well, they come when they're not well.
Right. So. I wonder how you old doctors deal with all the emotions that come with people being sick, people losing patients sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys deal with all that trauma, but I do hope that the Lord that has given you the grace will continue to help and guide you. You look very rested for someone who is stressed, but I hope I believe that you're doing it so well, and I know it's a ministry for you, and I believe that clarity and grace follows it. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Freeman, over to you. How are you, my brother?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm doing very well. As a matter of fact, I just left a training session with some folks that are onboarded for a project I'm working on. It has to do with teenagers and artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
So it feels great to be able to pass across knowledge. Something that I love to do. So yeah, the whole thing gets a little demanding at times when you have to they're faced with students who are not so quick to grasp, because it's actually not a very, very popular area. We're just all metamorphosing into AI for now. So yeah, but then it's been good. The students have been great. Teenagers, so it's good. We want to use it AI for the kingdom instead of the manipulation that comes with it and all of the dirty things that come with it. So let's get our folks involved and acquainted with this skill so that can use it for the purposes of the kingdom.
Amazing. So, yeah. Well done. As you were speaking, I could see smoke coming out of your head. Too much sense, too much oil, too much. All right, that's very good. I know what they say about money, right? Money being in the hands of a bad person. If it's in the hands of a bad person, it's bad money. If it's in the hands of a good person, it's good money. I think it so applies to AI because there are a lot of controversy and bad news that comes with AI and a lot of scary things and scary conspiracy theories that are coming with that, but I really like that we are taking advantage of it because there's this temptation to go by, oh, this is of the devil, we can't use it. But the truth is the world is evolving. The phones we use now, we're not there. And once upon a time, people thought it was for the devil, but now we're using it for the kingdom. And if you don't have a phone now, you must be living on the rocks. So well done.
Thank you so much.
Sam, how are you doing?
Great. Doing excellently well. Making progress in the right direction, getting the little things, doing them the right way, and hopefully, it will all accumulate into some level of supernatural manifestation one day. I think I was reading a book recently, and then the man was talking about the beauty of the vine and how that the branch is important, the stem is important, even the fruit is important. And I just used that to look critically at my life, how that as a Christian, as a believer, it's not just enough to be in church. You must bear fruits. It's important that you bear fruit. All around. Your establishment in the faith is not so that you become, a long-time Christian. Yeah. So that at the end of the day, their fruits, their impact, just like he said, is impacting life. Their impact that helps to validate your status and your position in the faith. So it's been amazing so far. And just from what you said, I think I'm becoming more passionate about impacting knowledge. Yeah. Because we have to. I remember saying something one time. I said, a generation we fail to expose to light will wallow eternally in darkness. Right. Oh, yes. Whether you like it or not. If we don't consciously expose the generation that we are into light, raw light, we'll have them work in darkness. And it will not be their fault, it will be because we fail to do it.
Right. Oh, yes. Yeah. Wow, that's so good. So while you were yet speaking about fruits, a scripture dropped in my mind, and I've been meditating on that scripture for a while now. And it says, the righteous shall flourish like a palm tree and be strong like the cedars of Lebanon. And when I was thinking about that scripture one time, I just remembered how I just pictured a palm tree. If you know a palm tree in all its glory, it's that every single part of it is useful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about fruits, you are fruitful on every side. So when you come to a palm tree, it gives fruits, it gives wine, it gives broom, it gives, sometimes the branches are used to roof a house or create fences. It is whole in itself. So that's how, when they say the righteous shall flourish like a palm tree, it's how whole on every side. I think that's really, really beautiful. The Bible is very, very rich. If you look into it and you meditate on it and how you see how beautiful it is, it's beautiful, really. I was sharing with someone one time and I was talking about my faith so passionately. I say and then I made a statement. I said, if you're not a Christian, you're missing out on a lot. I say, you Christians, you guys will always say this. I said, no, because it's true. Because if you are on the surface, you will not understand what I'm saying. But if you enter in and then you are enjoying that relationship and oh God, it's sweet. So for me, a lot has been happening and it's been a whole lot of good, bad, ugly stuff. It's been a lot of resetting mindsets. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of fixing a lot of things in my schedules, and like you guys, I'm also impacting knowledge.
Always.
So you kind of rub it in my face. So yes, I had the privilege of speaking with some teenagers as well on doing presentations, and I was like, okay, I like. When I was called to do that, I was really scared. Can I do this thing? Is it going to make sense? Would I be able to impact knowledge? And I'm really glad that every single time there's something, you see them come to life whenever they learn something new. I think it's beautiful, and I like that. I really like that all of you are doing well in your various areas.
We are happy you are doing well.
Thank you. And I believe that in this room, as we're seated here, we are going to do extremely well on this conversation. Okay, so let me not bore you guys with so much long talk. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. I'm so glad that you're here. Now, do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. This is very important because we would love to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, your comments. We want you to engage with us. So our topic for today is test before you trust. We are talking about sex, faith, and the premarital dilemma. Now, we're looking at this from the medical perspective, spiritual perspective, psychological perspective, and even ethical perspective of this pastor's claim. What are we talking about? We'll show you in this video. Take a look.
I am one of the women of God who thinks that before you marry a man, you must see his. You must see it, you must hold it, you must feel it, and make sure it's working. Why are you being like uncomfortable like that?
No, I want to make a point. Yes, you do. Let me drink water.
Okay, well, that was very funny. What took me off was the reaction of the presenter, like she couldn't hide her shock. Okay, so this very clip raised a lot of fire and spark all over the internet, and even till now, people are still talking about it. And the concern is this is it worldly advice or spiritual advice, or is this protection or provocation? Because let's start from the very beginning. The concern here is we have a lot of infertility issues in marriage, and many people, as you can cut me wrong if I am wrong, but many times I've heard some fertility doctors would say that sometimes 80% of the time the problem is from the man, not even the woman. So it's low sperm count, erectile dysfunction, whatever it is. So that's where this claim came in, that, okay, there should be an inspection so that you don't get into trouble.
Inspection.
So do you think this is a call to sexual awareness, or do you think it crosses spiritual lines? Freeman.
Well, it's a legitimate concern she has raised. Right. I want to believe strongly that she has either heard of experiences people have had, or probably she has had the experience herself.
Right.
And has sparked that level of passion the way she spoke as to. So it's a very legitimate concern she has raised. However, it's the solution she's preferring that is wrong. Right. The solution is wrong. We could join hands, think around it, and figure out what the right thing to do in given the rise of such situations, erectile dysfunction, psychosexual dysfunctions, and all of that. However, asking outrightly for inspection is not appropriate.
Right.
And actually, that's already sex, because sex are in 4 phases, right? Especially for the female folk. The female folk has sex in 4 phases. That's the first phase is the excitement phase. The second phase is the plateau phase. The third phase is orgasm, and the fourth is resolution phase. Yeah. So in those 4 phases, the first phase, which is excitement, has little or nothing to do with penetration. It's the touch and all of those that brings arousal. So sex started already. So if a woman of God is recommending inspection, she's now saying that Paul was wrong when he said flee fornication. Because when we now look at holistically, that is progressing into fornication.
Part of the process.
Part of the process again. So as I said earlier, I agree with her that it's a legitimate concern.
Right.
But the solution that she has raised or she has preferred is wrong outrightly. And I guess that's why we're here to tinker and figure out how the best approach to this thing can be handled.
Right. So over to you, doctor. Being a lady and a doctor, what were your very first thoughts when you saw this video?
Yeah, okay. Watching this video for the first time, first of all, it was shocking like the previous. Sexual discussions are not so often discussed publicly, especially in Christian climes. And then even in the clinics, when you see patients, there's a way people are so shy. It's usually the last complaint to make, and you see the discomfort, they're struggling to talk about it. So people are generally, conservative about discussing sexual health, but actually it should be discussed because it's an aspect of health that affects our general well-being. Okay, so, well, my first thought was, what has this woman experienced in her counseling sessions with sisters? Probably she has met sisters who went into marriage without engaging sexual transparency, that is discussing with their partners about their sexual health, and then they go in and they meet surprises, or they meet disappointments, or they even meet deceived, because sometimes some persons may be bold enough to bring up the discussions, and then the other person is aware of his condition, but then keeps quiet or it lies literally, and then they go into marriage, and then they meet deceived, and then there's disappointment, there's bitterness, and all of that, and then so you could see the rage with which she's speaking, which can also be probably it's a personal experience. Yeah, so you could see the rage. So obviously she's speaking from an emotional point of view. It's not from a sound mind of a believer whose objective is allegiance to Christ. So this is to say that our experiences do not become the standard. God's standard does not change because we have met disappointments, we have met deceits, or whatever our experiences may be. So God's standards remain.
Right. So speaking about God's standards, there's something we uphold in our faith, which is sexual purity. And it's something that is being hammered through ages, over and over, and stuff like that. So, to you, Sam, looking at it from a scriptural point of view, what would you say about sexual purity and the boundaries of it? Are there some lines that we can actually cross just because we want to remain safe?
Well, like the presenter, I would have loved to get a cup of
water.
a cup of tea or a cup of water, just to get some level of balance. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I was shocked and I was concerned, looking at the fact that she said, "I'm a woman of God."
That was strong.
That was a woman of God. I mean, people speak from many places, and I believe strongly that she was speaking from a place of pain. And your pain, especially those experiences that are painful, are not the standard for expression. So for me personally, sexual purity is one of the most cardinal things that you must do as a believer if you want to play host to God and you want to be able to impact your generation. I always tell people this around me, that the potency of your voice is tied to the purity of your vessel. One of the reasons why God is emphasizing purity is because if you are going to play host to a pure God, your vessel must be pure. If someone important is going to come to your house, I'm sure you won't serve the person with a dirty plate.
Not at all.
And most of the time, if someone important is coming to your house, you look for the best of the best plate, just so that you can give the person a good welcome, a great hospitality. That's the same thing with God. If God is going to serve us as a meal to our generation, we must ensure that our vessel is pure. Right. So the concept of sexual purity is God word, and at the same time is man word, in the sense that God uses vessels that are pure, and at the same time, there's a way, when you have explored so many things on the dark side, it affects the texture of your soul. You start looking at the word from that perspective. I tell people, when it comes to sin, what you don't know, we don't know you. Okay? What you don't know, we don't know. If I've never touched Bet Nigeria, I won't understand what people do there. If I've never sat down to watch whatever they do in BB Nigeria, I will not know what people do. I won't understand what they are doing there.
Yeah.
So that's how it is with sin. If you have not touched it, there's a way your mindset will never be driven towards it. So the reason why the devil entices us so much with sexual immorality is because, or sexual impurity, is because the moment you touch it, it gives room for other level of decadence and impurity. So we must create structures and systems that will keep us within the boundary of consecration to God. The Bible says, touch not the unclean thing. Touch not, and I will walk on it. So I believe one of the unclean things that we must run away from is that of sexual impurity. Your vessel is, the Bible says, we're bought at a price. So therefore glorify God in your body. So it is the understanding of the fact that you were bought at a price that will make you consecrate your vessel, your body unto God. I know there's so many claims in the world now that it's okay to enjoy your life. It's risky to enjoy your life outside of the confines of the will of God, the ways of God, and the wisdom of God. So that's just my
Actually, there may be many things she said in that session that we are not privy to.
You're right.
But she wasn't necessarily advocating for sexual indulgence. However, the statement she made is a subtle invitation and approval of sexual indulgence. Because she never actually said it's fine to fornicate. She never actually said it's fine to go have sex with somebody you are anticipating marriage with. But if we heed to that her counsel, there's a possibility from the opening statement I made, there's a possibility that the first phase of sex has been achieved. The next phase will come into play, and gradually we'll have all the phases of sex. Actually, so I just wanted to point out to the fact that she wasn't outrightly saying get sexually involved, but at the same time, I would add that that was a subtle invitation and a subtle approval of sexual indulgence.
There's a way information emboldens people to try her faith.
So, do you think that our virginity and purity principle helps or hinders preparation for marriage? Do you think it helps, like, does it help, like, keep you in a safe place to be pure, okay? Or does it hinder your preparation for any surprise that you see in marriage, especially when it comes to sexual matters? Because I feel like her claim is more like, just prepare, so that when you are inside, because marriage is forever. So once you're inside, you can, from outside now, you can know that this is what I'm getting into. I can decide I don't want to keep at it. So do you think our own principle with virginity, with purity and no inspection, according to the Bible, do you think it's helping us or do you think it's hindering us?
I would say it's helping us. But I would love to hear Doctor's view on that. That point is more medical now. It's more medical and psychological if you look at it critically. So, Doctor, what do you have to say about it?
So now what she said, let me just give a summary to what she said. She said, inspect it, hold it, and ensure it's working. Am I right? Is that what she said? So how do you ensure that it's working if you don't engage in sex? No, and initially when I watched this video, I was wondering, is this about sexual satisfaction or about fertility? What are we trying to test here? What are we trying to to assay and be sure is there before we're going, before one goes into marriage? If it's fertility, there are a lot of medical, there are ways to which it can be assayed, and you need to see the help of a medical professional for that. So, but if it's satisfaction, you can't assay sexual satisfaction without engaging in sexual satisfaction. So, I think that she actually, from what she said, she's actually saying test and be sure that the man can satisfy you sexually before marriage. So it's not just about, she wasn't just talking about the first two phases of of sex, which is about desire and arousal. She was talking about sexual satisfaction, which is fornication, which is what we call premarital sex, but it's fornication. I know something about fornication. The Bible tells us that it is sin against your own body. And even medically, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of things that come with premarital sex. apart from unwanted pregnancies, STIs, emotional, distortment and all of that. So it's actually sin against your own body. And when the Bible, when God gives us laws, it is for our own good.
Yeah.
It is forced for our own good. Even it's worship to Him when we obey His word. But it's forced for our own good. God gives us His instruction for our own safety, for our own protection, for our own good. So I totally disagree with her.
Another thing is, if you test.
Yeah.
And ensure it's working, and it's now not working.
Okay,
you now go test again.
Okay.
It's now not working. It means that there's a likelihood that just keep testing. That brings us to where there will be so many emotional situations where you have
join your soul with so
many ties with many people who probably are not satisfying you to that extent that you want.
I really like that you came with the whole emotional thingy, but we will talk about that in the next segment. So do stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break. Stay with us.
Welcome. This is the Faith and Reason on Voice of One TV. Do well to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Voice of One TV. So, Prima, you were about to strike a very interesting and intriguing point, which is about the psychological effect, of testing and continuous in testing. All right. So, I want you to, get it down a little bit. What were you trying to strike as regards to that concept?
What I would drive home with that point is that's not a solution to the problem. It is already, we can absolutely say that it does not solve the problem. In fact, it lands you in more problems, right? But besides the STIs and all of the unwanted pregnancy, that will also land you in traumas that will result to sexual dysfunctions. Because if you need to have fear for sex, and all of those things now gets to the psychological aspect. And I'll talk about a part, psychosexual dysfunction. I'm sure that you'll enlighten us on the other aspects that are outrightly medical. Psychosexual dysfunction is a collection of emotional, social, and psychological challenges or factors. That's what results to psychosexual dysfunctions. And it's not necessarily that anything is wrong with the man. It's better from traumas, bad sex experiences, maybe the first time experience, things like rape, loss of a loved one. In fact, even stress can result to psychosexual dysfunction, right? And of course, result to erectile dysfunction because it's the male folk now that we're talking about emphasizing. Right? Those things can result to erectile dysfunction. So if we don't consider it and solve the problem from the root, and we are thinking that we just want to jab at the surface, we will never get to solve the problem. So I would prescribe that maybe that should be included in my final thoughts. But let me just make a statement on it a little. I would prescribe that maybe, in addition to the results or the things couples are asked to bring before marriage, the marriage counsel or stuff, maybe if there are medical procedures that medical personnel can carry out legitimately, to ascertain those levels of assurances, fertility, functionality and all of sexual satisfaction. Maybe all of those examinations could be done and maybe added to what the couple should bring to see maybe the marriage counselors before they tie the knot, or maybe for those who are not necessarily Christians, who don't get to do the church wedding, before they agree and go to court or go to do the traditional rites, they should have seen their doctors and then gone through those examinations so they will be sure of what they are walking into. Because there are many things you cannot be sure of by just even testing, right? there are many things about sexual intercourse that you cannot ascertain by just engaging in sex for 1, 2, 3 times.
Awesome.
So would you then say that in relationships there should be trust? Because these are more like things that people should outrightly have conversations within themselves.
Yeah.
That openness.
The thing is that there's a possibility that one may not know. Like, for instance, an erectile dysfunction that comes from trauma, from trauma, like any form of trauma at all. If the person does not actually indulge in sex, the person may not know, because there's nothing necessarily physically wrong with the person. As a grown-up young child, as you're maturing, there are times when you wake up in the morning with an erection. You're told to pay attention to your first urine of the day, because the tip of it is likely going to be more whitish than the rest of the urine. All of those physical things are observable, and they may just be there. But there will be other psychosexual dysfunctions that will, like, lasting long. I remember there was a period where, is it 1 minute man or 2 minute man was trending on was trending on the internet. It doesn't mean that person is infertile. No, the person is unable to sustain sex for a period of time where the woman is able to go through the phases of sexual intercourse. From the first phase to the second phase to the third phase to the fourth phase. And then she gets to her orgasm, then the resolution when, the process starts again for her. That's just the situation. The man erects and ejaculates faster than it's expected of him. So the woman does not get to be satisfied. So if we consider testing as the solution, we may end up going deep into iniquity and still not find a solution for what we are trying to figure out. So I would say that before I'm sure she will get to a point where she begins to speak about the medical aspects, especially the infertility, because in that aspect, that one has to be medically, checked and all of that. But for psychosexual dysfunctions, for erectile dysfunctions that emanate from psychosexual dysfunction, it's not necessarily that anything is wrong with him or with him physically. He's still having his routine erections, may still have some of those observations, well intact. But then satisfaction, as Dr. earlier mentioned, now comes into play. That's another factor. Then the fertility thing also comes into play. So I would say maybe when she comes up, we begin to talk about the procedures, the examinations, and if there are anything that should be prescribed for folks to indulge, right? But trust, in terms of trusting, a man can say to a lady that he's fine, and truly he's fine, right? But when he now begins to engage in sex, maybe when they are now married and begins to engage in sex, there may be erectile dysfunctions that he didn't know. It didn't mean that he deceived the lady. So just simply that he was not aware of those things because he was not indulging in sex, of course, which he shouldn't. And that's why maybe medical procedure, then therapists, psychological experts, psychologists should have sessions with these people, engage them, let's not go into the Freudian ego and super ego thing and begin to talk about things that happen from children's state, from the age when they were younger to when they were growing and all of that. That may take a lot of time. But trust alone may not suffice for this context. Perhaps we should have room for psychologists to have therapeutic sessions with couples, medical personnel to conduct examinations and come up with diagnosis and maybe prescriptions to resolve some of these.
So jumping into the medical perspective, what could be, he has spoken about the psychological side. What could be the medical reasons why men could have dysfunctions, erectile dysfunctions?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. There are a lot of reasons why a man will have sexual dysfunctions. And sexual dysfunction, generally, to the general public, when you mention sexual dysfunction, the first thing that comes to mind is erectile dysfunction, which people commonly called impotence. But the 4 stages, or actually, the sexual cycle is actually 5 stages in a way. Okay. But each of them have the associated dysfunction that can happen at each step. So the first phase is the sexual desire. So somebody may not even have the desire for sex. Yes, lack of libido. It's called libido. So there are sexual cues, sexual fantasies, but there's no desire. So then the step of sexual arousal, where erection happens, then erection dysfunction is at that stage. And even with erectile dysfunction, somebody may have difficulty initiating, erectile erection or maintaining. Somebody can initiate it and not be able to, and it doesn't sustain, it's not maintained. Like I've had experiences in clinic where patients complain and they say, they stay, they stand long, understand? Yeah. So that's another aspect of erectile dysfunction, which is, on the second stage of sexual dysfunction. Then on the third stage is the plateau, which is part of another extension of the sexual arousal phase, where the height of sexual satisfaction, the height of sexual excitement. And then the fourth phase, which is ejaculation, where ejaculation happens, orgasm. That's within the phase that ejaculation happens. And that's where the issues of sperm count issue. Somebody may ejaculate, but the sperm count is inadequate to fertilize or to get the woman to conceive. And then the refractory phase, where everything goes back to normal. So there are a lot of reasons to why someone may have sexual dysfunction that can come at any of these 4 stages. Because the fifth stage is basically a refraction where everything calms down and everything is normal for the person. He has spoken a lot about the psychological aspect. I guess we're a psychologist. So a lot of things, fear, anxiety, like what this video is pushing for, it can create a lot of fear and anxiety among sisters and then, or even the brothers. And you go into marriage with anxious about sex. I have heard a testimony. I won't mention the pastor's testimony, but he said when he got married, and they went for honeymoon, and they were in the hotel, that the wife was so scared and anxious that nothing happened. Like they got married for days. On a point came, he said, I beg, let us go home. So they ended the honeymoon and went back home, and over time she got relaxed and sex happened, okay? So you can imagine, maybe, I don't know the exact number of days, probably 3, 4, 5, 7 days. But because she was nervous, she was anxious about a first experience of sex, it couldn't happen, So fear, anxiety is a common cause of sexual dysfunction. Trauma, like he mentioned, past experiences, somebody that has been raped, somebody, somebody that has been deceived, in this kind of experience, somebody that has experienced deceit from a partner. It creates fear, it progresses to fear and anxiety. And the sex response cycle is actually a hormonal happening. Things happen that bring about those changes and then those excitements in the body. So if there's anxiety or fear, it affects the release of this, biochemical substances that brings about those physiological changes that, bring about, this whole sex process.
How about STDs?
Okay, STDs, cause of
erectile dysfunction.
Can STD progress into
sexually transmitted disease?
No. Can it cause an erectile dysfunction?
No, I've never seen, heard, or read anything about that. But what it can cause is infertility.
Oh.
Yes, it can cause infertility. Yeah. Wow. Both for the male and for the
I would love to ask
female.
this question. Why is there, you made a very salient point when you were starting that there seems to be lack of information. There seems to be lack of intelligence along the line of sexual activity and sexual engagement. It's as if people are shy or non-interested when it comes to
sex education.
Why is there so much restraint along that line? I feel there should be so much communication so that people don't get to fall into pitfalls, potholes as regards that line of expression. Why is there so much restraint, Doctor? Why are people shy?
Number one, African setting. Africans basically
religion.
Yes, African, then secondly religion. said thing where some things shouldn't be heard. Like we saw her, we all reacted. Even you, we are surprised about her speaking boldly about sex. Yes, how that's it. So there's this, such things should just be said quietly, So the African setting does that. Well, I don't think it's so much of an issue in the West. They are very open. And then the religious aspect, where for over the years it's been also looked like something not to be talked about. But I think it's becoming more like that. It's becoming more open even within the church, and that must have been one of the reasons why marriage committees have been set in most churches. They now have marriage committees where they counsel intending couple, and I believe that it's part of this sexual health should be part of the discussion during marriage counseling.
There's a story I read about earlier this year. I can't remember. Even if I remember, I will not mention. There was a church where a couple got married, and time for consummation. And what was the exact detail? Whether the guy did not even have at all, or it seems he was mutilated or something, but something that he was supposed to be aware of. It was physical. And the woman was so enraged that, okay, we courted for a period of time. We went to the marriage committee. We had counseling sessions and all of that. This has never been brought up, and you are aware. It's something that the guy was aware of. The woman had to go back to the counseling, to the committee of marriage committee, and they told them this is the situation. And I think the praise the Lord experience they had was that, okay, thank God there was no consummation. They called the man back and ascertained that this woman was saying the truth. And they dissolved, as an authority, they dissolved the marriage. Because I'm wondering, because this marriage is already predicated on deceit. On deceit and all of the things. Then there was no consummation to start with. So the church committee of marriage committee, I'm missing that, marriage committee had to dissolve the marriage, and like almost immediately after the marriage happened.
Wow. So, as there's a problem, there's always a solution. And we would like to talk about the solution part, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back to talk about the solutions. Stay with us. I'm glad to know that you are still with us. The program is still Faith and Reason. And our topic for today is Test Before You Trust. Is a conversation on faith, sex, and the premarital dilemma. And we've spoken about the spiritual part, the psychological and medical perspectives of it. And right now, as you know, when there's a problem, there is going to be a solution. I want to start with the medical side. What are the ways, because this claim says inspect physically, but instead of going the physical way, what would you recommend medically to go about testing?
Okay. Well, to assay for sexual health before marriage, first of all, they need to seek medical attention. Yes. Yes, if the sister or if any partner is in doubt of the other partner's sexual health status, you can seek medical help. Because when you go to see a doctor, it doesn't just go straight and just write tests for you to do.
Right.
We take history, because from history for history of what has happened in the past or whatever is going on now, gives the doctor a lot to say about the diagnosis or about the person's test. So we're going to see an expert. The couple will be evaluated, but even the physical examination that is being advocated, it's better for a medical expert to do that. Yes, really? because when you can be expected, there are they can be congenital, there can be structural abnormality, just like he mentioned about someone who didn't have a male genital organ and never mentioned it in the courtship. So when you go to see a doctor and you're in doubt of sexual health, from examination, a lot of things can be picked. Yes, it may not just be the congenital absence, can be a hypospadias, can be can be a curvature of the male sexual organ. So the expert will be in the better position to inspect because he knows if everything he or she is seeing, he or she understands the meaning of what she's seeing. So it's better for the physical examination that is being spoken about to be done by an expert because it will make more sense to the person who has the knowledge and the experience and the other evaluations that can be done in terms of testing that can be like investigations. Diagnostic investigations that can be done to ascertain one's status of sexual health. But paramount to this, I think couples or intending couples should be sexually transparent. You should be able to talk and be open and honest about your status, about your situation, because this is a lifetime journey. You cannot afford to build it on deceit. And some of these sexual dysfunctions can be managed medically. So if both partners understand the situation of any of the partner, they can go ahead to seek medical help and see how the person can receive help. Because like he mentioned, if everybody goes around testing and then you test and then it's not working, you go test another person that is not working. So what happens to those that is not working? So but these problems can be managed medically. You can seek medical attention and receive help and improve the quality of life.
Right. So what are they medications that can be administered? Are they like surgical procedures that can help with all of this?
Let me add another question so you answer it once. A lot of people who are not, they're not in doubt whatsoever of their partners being functional and all of that. Do they need to be in doubt before there can be a procedure for medical checkups and all of that to ascertain?
Okay. Well, we can actually incorporate sexual health evaluation into our routine evaluations during marriage counseling. Okay, we can actually be incorporated so that we don't wait for such experiences as captured in the video before begin to solve the problem. But whether you're in doubt or not, if you want to do the proper thing, if you are your standard is righteousness and you want to do the proper thing, then there are proper ways to go about it. Yes, so which is the medical expert evaluation will be the right thing to do.
I love this medical approach to it.
Yeah.
It creates a whole lot of perspective to attending to it without having to journey into iniquity. My fear is this, allow me to say this. The male genital organ is not a car that when you test, it won't develop arousal. They have blood running through their veins. So when you test and arousal happen, it will lead to activity of sin. It's inevitable. So don't test. And please let's advise our generation. Don't test. When you test, it's like you are inviting the devil to come into the matter.
Right.
And I tell people this is what I call the anatomy of sin. The first stage is enticement. The second stage is entanglement. The last stage is enslavement. That phase of testing is what will accumulate in enticement. And you will not like the end product.
I know scriptures say, flee every appearance. It didn't say you should wait for the evil. If it appears evil, flee. Just imagine you go into a room of a friend and then the examination is happening. What do you think of both believers undergoing? So every appearance
you cannot come out and say explain that. No, nothing's happening. We are just examining. We are just inspecting.
Flee every appearance of evil.
So on the psychological side, I want to believe that there are actually ways that can help. I do know that there was a story on the female side now. There was a story of this couple. She even shared it all over YouTube, where she and her husband had not had sex for 1 year.
Wow.
1 whole year after their wedding because of a condition called vaginismus. And they realized that it was more psychological than it was physical or medical. So on the psychological part for men, what would you recommend the kind of treatments that will help this situation?
All right, so one's going to lead to the other. Like you can have the psychological approach, and some may lead a psychologist or the experts to recommend that they see a medical personnel.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that those who will come to the medical personnel and after examining, they will know that they will realize that it's something psychological, and they will recommend the psychologist. So one of the first major approach the psychologist brings to resolve this is psychosexual therapy. Right? This is basically trying to trace the sexual history of the person, talk to the person to telling them everything, their fears, their anxieties, their experiences, or if there are no thoughts at all. You know, the psychologist guides the clients step by step, a procedure, in this procedure to bring them to unearth even things that seem to be hidden, right?
To unveil them.
To unveil them, to help them be prepared psychologically for the experience of sex. Another one is cognitive behavior therapy, that's CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy also, it has to do with the mind. You most of the times you already know that this client maybe was raped or has a very terrible situation or experience. You guide this client step by step to overcome. That's why therapeutic sessions are not just for one day.
Yeah.
Some happens for a prolonged period of time.
Months.
And the expert takes his time or her time to have these conversations step by step, and figure out how they can help these persons overcome those reservations they have about sex, those things that are holding them back, those things that seem to press their desire for sex and all of that, whatever the problem is in whatever stages of the sex, he helps them debunk such things and then guides them to live above those fears. I think a third prominent one is something like she already mentioned. It's couples counseling or individual counseling,
right?
Where folks come, probably have identified a challenge. They come to a psychologist, lay bare the challenge you're having. Some of these things happen not. We don't have time to touch it actually, but some of these things don't even happen just in entrance to marriage. Okay, you just mentioned that you can be in marriage, you may even have had children, but maybe one of the couple was away for a long time and the person is back. Remember I said earlier that stress is also part of what can also result to. So some of all of these things they may be just little factors, but when an expert guides them to figure out what the problem is, he can further help them or further guide them to bringing the solution and having them apply it to their life. So basically, a psychologist will not prescribe drugs. A psychologist will not engage in any medical procedure. Majorly, it will help the mental processes and the behavioral processes, and so he or she can guide them to overcome whatever is holding them back, whatever quagmire they are in, and then lead them to solution. And when it goes over and above mental processes, behavioral patterns, psychology, and all of that, they begin to do their part. Then recommend they see a medical personnel who will now carry on from where they stopped.
Right. I think these are really, really holistic, and it kind of makes us see that the whole physical inspection thing is not necessary. I think there are actually ways that can help everybody, every individual ascertain.
Without having to
yes. So in the words of my dear colleague, dear generation, don't test. Don't test. Just do the right thing. First off, I would add, trust God, really. Trust God for your own self and trust Him that He will not lead you wrong. However, be open to have conversations. If you have physical challenges and you're aware, I think you should also share and tell someone, talk to your partner. And if your partner is somebody that is willing to walk you through the journey, why don't do that in the clearest and honest and most holy way possible. So do that, and then you'll be doing yourself a very, very good favor for not honestly testing.
I know we don't have time, but what you're saying reminded me of something I'm aware of, an experience someone had and I'm aware of. Please, this erectile dysfunction is not only, it can be spiritual. I'm serious, it can be spiritual. There's a couple that the guy, he and his wife can have sex on a normal day. have sex and they're fine. But during a period of our ovulation, the guy is unable to perform.
Right.
So it can be spiritual also. And so
Right.
it's something that can be contended with.
So to add, seek spiritual help.
Yes.
When you can sense it, seek spiritual help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we've had, I really enjoyed the conversation. I honestly, personally, I learned a lot. It's really, really it's a holistic conversation. And I just want to say a very big thank you to my brother always.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for being here, because it's always great to have great conversations with you.
Yeah,
and Dr. Doyun, you are a
rich
delight.
woman.
Like
So
the way she was pointing out, I love the way you're pointing out your heart with so much clarity and coming as a doctor. I think it's beautiful. Thank you so much, and God bless you for all you do. I really hope that when we invite you another time, you join us, definitely.
My pleasure.
So thank you so much for being with us on Faith and Reason. And to my co-host, I say well done, sir.
Yes.
You're doing well. Well done. And I just want to say a very big thank you for watching us today, and I hope you did enjoy the conversation as much as we did. If you have any concerns, any conversations, any comment, or any additions to everything we've said, or recommendations, we would love to hear from you. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. You can write your comments both on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and even on YouTube. This is the much we can take for today. I'm sorry, we would have loved to stay longer, but well, this is the much we can take. But we'll be right back. We'll come your way again next time, same station. Stay with us, and God bless you. My name is Agocho Agi, and I say goodbye.